Hello everybody, this is GamerGar. Welcome back to another episode of the Expanded series. We are looking to get perfection as quickly as possible, but it's not going to be easy because the Expanded mod has huge amounts of content we need to get through. We just learned the forest magic from the wizard. We can now communicate with all of the Junimo bundles and reap the rewards. We just got some spring seeds there for completing one of the spring foraging bundles. We're now going to get out to the tide pools and get lots of corn. Most of this will be sold for extra money. We're now going to go back to the community centre and we're going to complete the crab pot bundle. We've been pretty fortunate with picking up items off the beach. Getting this bundle complete will unlock the boiler room for us, but we can't complete the boiler room just yet. We have to get down a little bit deeper in the mines. For now, we're going to spend the rest of the day fishing in the hopes to get our fishing skill up to level 10, so we can grab that final perk, Angler, fish worth 50% more. We also made some nice money today as well. We made 14,399 gold, primarily from selling smoked largemouth bass. The next day starts with a collection of some iron bars. We then went over to the bridge, and this is located just to the east of Clint's house. There's lots of interesting fish you can catch here, including a new legendary fish. Now this fish was probably the hardest fish I have ever encountered in my life. It was extremely hard, I couldn't catch it. I gave it about 2 or 3 attempts, it just wasn't working out. We did get the butterfish and the puppyfish though, so it was nice to grab those. We will go back for that legendary later on when we get some nice fishing buffs. We just got our steel pickaxe off Clint, we handed in the copper axe to upgrade that to a steel. We're now in the mines and we're just making our way down, collecting resources as we go. We're on the 70s at the moment, so we're fighting skeletons. They can drop some nice things, including the bone sword of course. But we want to get down to floor 80 now as quickly as possible, so we can start getting those gold ores and those fire quartz. Once we grab those, we can then go ahead and complete the boiler room bundles. Once the boiler room bundles have been completed, we can then go ahead and complete the vault bundles. And we want to get the vault done by at the very latest the 14th, so we can access the bus on the 15th and go to the desert festival. Something hilarious happened today, and it all started with me obtaining a warp totem back to the farm. So I thought to myself, oh great, I can teleport out of here at 1:30 or maybe 1:45 and I'll get to the house no problem. Just wait and see what happens in the next few minutes. So we got to floor 90, picked up the obsidian edge. We didn't switch over to it because with the expanded mod a lot of the weapons have been modified, and the Neptune's glaive that I have right now is an absolute beast of a weapon. So we're going to keep the Neptune's glaive right up until we get a galaxy weapon. It was getting late, so I parked the warp totem back to the farm. Now I ended up at the farm, but I was surrounded by debris and there was absolutely no hope I was going to make it back down to my house without my character passing out. So I ended up passing out. And I actually just giggled at this because I just thought it was so funny. Because I'm so used to playing on the standard farm, you know? I thought to myself, oh sure, I'll warp back, get into the house within a couple of seconds and I'll be okay. But you know, I was brought back down to reality very quickly there when I realised I was playing on a farm that I wasn't familiar with. So when the next day started, I took the time to wipe out huge amounts of debris before I went back down into the mines. And we need to wipe out a lot of that debris anyway when it comes to planting crops later on and doing other things with the farm. So it's better to get it done sooner rather than later. Now when we went back down into the mines on floor 96 we got lots of mushrooms, which was nice. On floor 97 we finally got our mining skill up to 5. And on floor 100 we picked up the star drop, which increases our maximum energy. We got a skill up in combat as well. The combat is now on level 5, which was great. That was one of the minimum requirements I wanted to have before going into the Skull Caverns. That's going to give me a nice attack power boost. I now needed to get mining up to level 6, and I needed to get to floor 110 to get the space boots for that extra defense rating. To be honest, if we didn't get the space boots and if we didn't get combat to level 5, it was going to be okay. The most important thing we need to get done today before we pass out is a mining skill of 6 so we can make bombs. If we can't get that, we're going to be in trouble. We're not going to make huge amounts of progress in the Skull Cavern during the Desert Festival. Getting down to floor 10 was nice, the space boots will serve us well. Now, once we made it down to floor 110, we stopped. We're not going to get the Skull Key. The reason being, it buffs all the monsters, it makes them stronger, gives them more HP. We don't need the Skull Key to enter Skull Cavern during the Desert Festival. The level 5 perks are nice. Fighter, attack power increase, and plus 1 additional ore per vein makes the difference. The next day starts with a battle with the legend up in the lake. Now, we ended up getting quite the easy legend here, which was nice. Didn't take me a whole lot of time to pull this thing up out of the water. Now, once I put the legend up, I put it straight into the fish smoker, and then I realised something. I locked myself in. I had to wait until the fish was fully smoked before I could leave. Once I left, went to Pierre, sold him the fish, got my gold, almost up to 65,000 gold. I then headed up to the boiler room, and I'm going to complete all these bundles now because I have the gold bar, the copper bar, the iron bar. I've got the quartz, the fire quartz, the earth crystal, and the frozen tear, and I have the solar essence and the void essence. The rewards are pretty nice. The furnace is probably one of the nicer things you can get there. It was then time to complete the vault bundle. I had more than enough money to get that done. Once the vault bundle was complete, I could rest easy. I could now access the desert festival the next day, which was nice. We had one more day of farming resources before we can do the desert festival events, and you can bet your uncle that we were going to make the most out of today. The first thing we did after completing all the bundles was go to Gus, and we purchased a total of 50 salads. We then went to Clint and we got back our steel axe. Now, if you're wondering why I purchased so many salads, it's because we're going to be doing this called Cavern 3 days in a row, back to back. So we're not going to have a whole lot of time to go to Gus during that time to get more healable items. 50 salads will ensure that we don't run out of critical healing food as we're going through the Skull Caverns. We're now farming the middle layer of the regular mines for good reason. The dust sprites will give us coal, and there's iron ore all over the place, both of which are needed to make bombs. And the more bombs we make, the more success we're going to have by going through the Skull Caverns. Now, we're actually hitting a few birds with the one stone here because we're also going for perfection, and all of these kills will also count towards monster eradication goals, and it's always nice to get the goals done as quickly as possible so you can use your time and move on to other tasks that require perfection. So all of these dust sprites will add up eventually, and will make our life way easier when it comes to getting those goals completed later on. And the dust sprites are one of the harder goals because you need to kill so many, 500 in total, but it is worth it for a couple of reasons. The biggest is the prize you get, the burglar ring. It's absolutely amazing when it comes to dungeon delving and collecting loot from monsters. So the Junimos are going to fix up the bus, and they're also going to fix up the minecarts for us. Level 6 mining was an absolute godsend. The next day, we're going to make huge amounts of bombs. We also have salads, a strange bun, and some purple mushrooms ready to go. It was also Olivia's birthday today, so we just gave her a cake before we headed off into the desert. We didn't have any warp totems, so we had to wait for Pam to get to the bus before we could go here. That's why it's 9 o'clock there now and we're just in the desert and we're not in the Skull Caverns. We're now going to get the chef to make the rumpled fruit skin, and this is a combination of the rare fruit and the uncountable hot sauce. The rare fruit gives us luck, the hot sauce gives us speed. We can also take one of 2 quests from Marlin as well. We took the quest to assemble Omni Geodes. Should be easy enough to grab a few of those to get those extra calico eggs. The main reason we come into Skull Caverns during these events is to get as much calico eggs as possible. You can buy some amazing things with those eggs. You can buy strawberry seeds, you can buy mega bombs, you can buy woodcutters weeklies, which are skill books to dramatically increase foraging skill. You can get other things as well, but in my books, they're the most precious things you can get with calico eggs. Now, the rules of this minigame are quite simple. Every time you get down 5 floors, you get a rank in your egg rating, it goes up by 1. The higher the egg rating, the better reward you're going to get from Gil when you talk to him. Now, it's very important you talk to Gil before the next day, otherwise the egg rating, it resets and you don't get anything. Now, these calico statues that you find occasionally will also give you an additional rank to your egg rating. They will also give you either a buff, no buff, or a debuff. A buff and no buff are great. Some of the debuffs will absolutely destroy your run. They will make it way harder. Now, some of the buffs are absolutely magnificent. You can get speed boosts, you can get full refresh, which fully restores your health and energy. You can also get calico eggs. You can get 10, 25, 50 and 100 if you're extremely lucky. Now, I've only got the 100 a handful of times. It's quite rare, you know. You can also get things such as monsters do less damage, but you can also get some wicked nasty debuffs. Mummies can go a lot faster, they can hit a lot harder. Ghosts, bats, serpents, their spawn rates can dramatically increase. Skeletons and skeleton mages can spawn in and they can make your life an absolute misery, especially if you don't have a great weapon. Now, we got a rain totem today, And this in spring is an absolute godsend. If we manage to get a natural rainy day, we can chain it up with the rain totem and get 2 rainy days in a row. So that's something I was thinking about there when I got that totem, you know? Especially when it comes to farming, we haven't really done much farming yet. We also picked up a prismatic shard, and because we were getting lots of debuffs that increased the spawn rate of monsters and serpents and things like that, we were also accumulating a lot of monster loot as well as combat XP. We're also getting tons upon tons of mining XP. Every time we detonate a calico node, we're getting 50 XP, the exact same as what you would get if you detonated an iridium node. And the great thing about calico nodes is that you can get these in huge bulks from the very start of dungeon. You don't have to go deep to find huge amounts of them. Now these iridium bats have a chance to drop battery packs. If we get 5 battery packs, we can then do a huge rush and get it to Ginger Island very quickly. If we don't get the battery packs, we're not going to sweat it. We'll just wait for summer to come along and we'll go to Ginger Island then. Now we ended up getting an egg rating of 49 today, which was pretty good. I believe if we got it over 55, we would have claimed the best prize, which would have been 500 calico eggs and a magic rock candy. We got close, but for now we'll have to settle for second place. Second place is 200 calico eggs. It's not bad. And we also get Gil's hat. We also got level 6 combat, level 7 mining, level 8 mining and level 9 mining, along with level 7 combat. Loads of skill ups there for combat and mining, which was great. The next day, we're going to get the same recipe from the chef. We also picked up an auto pitter. This is absolutely amazing because eventually we will have to get animals for perfection. Now today ends up being one of the best Skull Cavern runs I ever did in spring. Today was just blessed with huge amounts of calico statues. We were getting a statue on almost every single floor we were encountering, accumulating huge amounts of egg ratings very quickly. Now a lot of people ask this. They ask why I didn't trade in the prismatic shard for the galaxy sword. The reason is you can't. As long as the desert festival is active, you cannot get to the pylons to upgrade your weapon. So we need to wait for the desert festival to end, then we can turn in the prismatic shard and we can grab the galaxy sword. Now we got very lucky with shafts today, and all these shafts were giving us 7 floors, 8 floors. We even got a shaft that brought us down 15 floors, which is the best you can get when it comes to shafts. A lot of the calico statues weren't really cursing us, they weren't really giving us debuffs, they were giving us nice things. We got to from 100, we picked up some more bombs, which was great. The majority of the statues were just giving us calico eggs, which was absolutely amazing. We also got level 10 mining today. That means we can grab blacksmith. Metal bars are worth 50% more. That means we can make some serious money now off iridium bars. They will now sell for 1500 gold a piece, which is absolutely amazing. And because we're doing so well in the Skull Caverns, we are accumulating thousands of iridium ores. So you're going to see some serious money now in the next few days. We also got a woodcutter's weekly from wiping out a serpent. That was a magnificent surprise. That's 250 XP towards foraging. Now at this moment in time I wasn't too sure with what I was going to do with all of the calico eggs I was accumulating. But that changes the next day when you see what I get inside some of those chests. Now we got an egg rating of 75 today. It doesn't matter if it's 55, 75 or 1000. For the first place you'll always get 500 calico eggs and a magic rock candy, which was absolutely amazing. We're going to take the blacksmith, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, so metal bars are worth 50% more. We also got level 8 combat, very close to level 9. The next day we're going to take deep dive to make it past floor 30 because the reward was 50 calico eggs. Now on floor 23 I got 10 bombs. I was very happy with that. Sometimes it can be hard to replace the bombs you're using, but look what we got on floor 33. That's right, we got rain totem number 2. We now have 2 rain totems. When this happened, I decided to change the entire tactic on how I was going to approach spring. This now went from making huge amounts of money to maxing out all my skills and making huge amounts of money. That's right, we are going to use all of our calico eggs to purchase insane amounts of woodcutters weeklies. That's going to get foraging straight up to level 8 or level 9. We're then going to use the rain totems. We're going to purchase huge amounts of crops and power level farming all the way up to level 10. When that's done, it's just a matter of getting combat to 10, and we can then enter the mastery tiers. We will now attempt to get that done before summer. We picked up a crystallarium zone of floor 100. I was very happy with the crystallarium. I was getting a lot more prismatic shards today, and every time I accumulate more than 3 prismatic shards, I'm going to keep those and trade those into the desert trader every Thursday for additional magic rock candies. I was now spending more time fighting monsters because I was focusing down combat skill. Because I wanted to get mastery in spring, I just took the extra time to fight these things just so I can get my skills up to 10 before we got into summer. My combat skill was now on level 9, which was great. I got an egg rating of 45 today. I left a bit early because there's a few other things I want to do. I got my eggs up to 2,498. So I went over to the bin here, kicked it open, got a few more eggs to bring me over 2,500. I used all those eggs to purchase woodcutters weeklies, 25 of those things in total. We are now going to activate 25 woodcutters weeklies and just look at my foraging skill ascend down at the bottom left hand side of my screen. I got my foraging skill all the way up to level 8, almost halfway to level 9. I then got the chef to make me another buff food using the shrimp to give me a fishing skill of +3. I stacked a trout soup on top of that, giving me a fishing skill of +4, and we managed to get that super hard legendary fish over by the bridge. This one is called the Wolf Snapper, and it's worth 9,000 gold. So we're going to smoke that lovely fish up and we're going to sell it. Level 9 combat gives us a great ring for farming resources, the Iridium Band. That is something we might make down the road. Level 5 foraging, we're going to take Gatherer, a chance to pick up double forage. Level 7 foraging, 3 fertilizers, we'll put those to great use. I made 17 furnaces today. We're going to use every single furnace to smelt up some iridium ores. We're then going to go to Pierre and we're going to sell the smoked wolf snapper, bringing our funds just up there to 54,000. We're going to go to the pantry and we're going to donate more crops, but look what happened. I was missing a crop. I felt like such a noob. I was missing a cucumber. I felt like the Junimos, they screwed me over a bit because, I mean, it's just something I didn't see. I didn't know you needed a cucumber, so, you know, there goes my speaker up. I felt betrayed by the Junimos. That's something we're going to have to think about now in the next few minutes, you know? I can't trust Junimos after what they have done. It didn't tell me about the cucumber. But look, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, we broke open loads of artifact troves, got some treasure chests, got some other things I can sell. The treasure chests go for 5,000 gold a pop, so it's just a nice way to get some extra money. We're now going to go back to the farm here and we're going to do some farming GamerGar style. That means putting mega bombs down on our farm to blow away huge amounts of debris, because there's so much debris here, we just don't have the time or the energy to systematically pick them off one by one using axes and pickaxes. Much easier to just lay down a couple of bombs. We will, however, use our lovely steel axe to get rid of all those big tree stumps, good foraging XP, and more importantly, hardwood. And the great thing about this frontier farm is that it is absolutely huge. There is no shortage of trees to cut down. We won't need to use tree fertilizer to maximize our foraging skill to 10. There's more than enough forageables and trees around here to get our skill to 10, no problem at all. I found the mushroom cave today. I thought it was hilarious. It was actually hidden behind a load of stuff. So, you know, that was the first time I went into the mushroom cave. For the rest of the evening, you guessed it, we are cutting down trees. We're on level 8 foraging at the moment, but we're hitting towards the 1 stone. We need to cut down trees anyway to make space for crops. Tomorrow is going to be a rainy day, and guess what? That's a natural rainy day. We still have 2 rain totems to use, so we're going to have at least 3 rainy days. We're not going to get parsnips, we're going to get kale. We're going to get 1,000 pieces of kale, and we're going to harvest a whole lot of it before summer to get huge amounts of money and skyrocket our farming skill right up to 10. We also visited the desert, and as you can see, because of the expanded mod, the desert is now absolutely huge. It's now a great place to go to get forageables, huge amounts of coconuts and cactus. But first, let's upgrade this prismatic shard into a galaxy sword, our new primary weapon. The next day starts with a collection of iridium bars, and this is the first of many batches of iridium bars you're going to see for the next week and a half. We're going to sell so many iridium bars, we're going to make hundreds of thousands of gold. It would be nice to max out all the skills, get a few ranks in mastery, and make maybe 1,000,000 gold before we get into summer. And I know what a lot of you are thinking, that's impossible. Well, look, just keep watching, because we're not just trying to get perfection as quickly as possible here. I'm also experimenting with new money-making tactics, and what better way to experiment than starting on a brand new farm. So we're now going to purchase 999 pieces of kale, and I had 75,000 gold left, which was great. I'm now going to use all my mega bombs to hoe up as much ground as possible, because it wouldn't actually be possible to use a regular hoe to get this done. You have to use bombs, and this is why it was so important to get rid of all the debris, to cut down as many trees as possible, so we could just lay bombs all over the place, you know? Because it was raining, I didn't have to worry about watering up the crops, but to be fair, we're not going to be watering the crops anyway. The rain totems will do that. Occasionally, we do take a break every couple of hours and we do collect all of our iridium bars. And we put more ores back into the furnace to make even more iridium bars, and we're going to sell all of these iridium bars, oh yes. Once we ran out of mega bombs, we started using regular bombs to kind of fill in the gaps. And once we were finished with all of the regular bombs, we would then take out the hoe, and the hoe would finish off the job for us before we attempted to plant 1,000 pieces of kale. Now, the great thing about kale is that it gives huge amounts of XP. It also is a very profitable crop, but the best thing about it is that you use a scythe to harvest it. So it doesn't take huge amounts of time to harvest 1,000 units of kale. Now, to ensure that we get all this kale planted today, we had to take some buff foods. I had to take a triple shot espresso as well as a spicy eel so my character would move much faster. The next day, it was back into the regular versions of the mines to go and grab the skull key. We now need the skull key so we can do more skull cavern runs. Because we have the galaxy sword, we don't need to fear the buffed monsters. Now, once we picked up the skull key, and it actually didn't take us long to go down here and get it because we had a superior weapon, we had a good pickaxe, and we had some other bits and bobs as well. We're going to visit our good friend Morris, and we're going to buy some Joja membership because I just felt betrayed with the cucumber, and I just can't forgive the Junimos for that. And look, they got 2 rooms out of us, you know? They got the boiler room and they got the vault, and they're probably one of the 2 most important bundles. We'll give Morris the rest. It's very important that we share between the 2 organizations and give them all equal opportunities. And I think it's much better that way than to just, you know, side with one organization and not side with the other. We also have to take into consideration as well that when Stardew Valley expanded, there's a lot more people that work for Joja. There's a lot more people you can have relationships with. So we want to make sure that Joja stays around, but also Pierre's shop stays around. So there you go, folks. That is another Let's Play done. I'll see you in the next one.